We're finally back with another episode of Friday Night at the Barbell. Today, Carson and Josh are incapacitated with work and family, but I have Zack Pounders on with me, Alabama lifter. I don't know if you're coaching anyone yet, but I imagine that's on the way.
I'm not.
And then, you are a middle school teacher? Is that right?
High school, middle school.
High school, middle
I've been
school.
around all kind of school.
Yeah, educator.
Yes.
That goes perfect because we try to do some edutainment, so it goes good with what we do. First, thanks for coming on. I know you have been really supportive of not just like our podcast, but just
Yes.
Alabama powerlifting in general, following a bunch of people, talking with everybody, giving back to the sport, and you're pretty much new to it as well, which is always good to see.
Right.
So why don't you give us a little bio, like where you're from, did you play any sports growing up, and how you found powerlifting?
Yeah, I'm Zack Pounders. I'm from Florence. I live in Florence now, from a small town an hour south of Florence called Red Bay. If anybody's ever heard of it, good luck. If you hadn't heard of it. Yeah. So now I'm in Florence, though. We're about an hour west of Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
And been here 6 years. Lifted for 11 years. Education. And it's always fun being a lifter and being in education when the kids find out you lift. Now, what's your bench? What's your squat? What's your deadlift? And you tell them, they're like, whoa, 500 pounds. It's like, I had to pull myself back last year at one point because I was like, wait a minute. I've probably never seen a 500 pound deadlift or squat or whatever. And powerlifting, we say that all the time.
Yep.
So it's like 500 pounds, though, it's okay, whatever. To the normal person, it's like 500 pounds, whoa.
Yeah, it's always funny when you talk to like normies or whatever you want to call them. Like even normal gym goers, they don't like it, the perspective of 500 pounds, 400 pounds, 300 pounds even. Like people don't really understand it.
Right.
I get something similar in like physical therapy. Like whenever you talk to patients and they're just like, 500, what do you mean by that? Like, what is that, 500 pounds? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh, it's real funny when you tell them your bench is 259. And they're like, huh? 259? I'm like, okay, we use kilo plates.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ran off 260, so I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's always definitely funnier doing the rounding. Like I benched 381 and somebody's just like, how did you get 1 pound? What do you mean 381? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. That's good. Did you play any sports growing up?
Yes, I played high school football and baseball. Football for 1 year, baseball for 2. I didn't play. I played the bench more. And
yeah, I feel that.
But in baseball, I was like one of the most knowledgeable on the team in the most humble way possible to say that. But I was doing scouting reports, senior playoffs, and then I coached for 2 years after that. Was doing scouting reports and all that, doing the books, all kind of stuff. Huge baseball fan.
That's what I figured because I've seen you like breaking down the draft and breaking down like reports on just Facebook posts or whatever. It's so funny. Just randomly.
Oh, if you search on Facebook, I have a breakdown of how Brett Favre, if he's never gets in trouble, Tom Brady has 10 Super Bowl rings. It's like a post this long. An alternate history of like 10 teams.
Conspiracy 101 there.
Yes.
Baseball conspiracy theorist and football conspiracy theorist. Maybe that might be a good tagline for a bio somewhere.
Or bad.
Well, bad, good, relative.
Right.
To the team you're conspiring against, they might not like it.
Probably
or fans. Like if you're a big fan of Tom Brady, you're not going to like anyone saying, well, if this happened, he'd never be that good. It's kind of how it always goes.
Right.
So how'd you find powerlifting? So you were in the gym for 10 years. So that's a long time to lift without it being like towards something. I think that's how a lot of people start though.
Yes. I've always been one of the heavy lifters as far as want to go heavy. I'm never with the kind that's like, okay, let's go hit a 65% for a one.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, no, let's go high as we can and far as possible, and then see what happens. But during the pandemic, Instagram is how I found it, and then through Instagram, I found King of the Lifts or one of those kind of pages. It had
Yeah.
all like the crazy number of lifts and whatnot.
Yeah, they
I
really
was just scrolling
demoralize me,
through.
so I try not to look at their posts.
Right. I think one of the first ones I found was Strong Inc. and that whole gym and all those people, and then it
Yeah.
just branched out from there.
Yeah.
And then
Nice.
Florence had a meet. We did 2022. That was announced in January 2022, and basically that was my start. Like in January 2022, I was researching everything I could. Like, okay, what federation, what this, what that, what's the rules?
This is a smart way to do it. A lot of people
Right.
walk in without a singlet, so knowing the rules at least going into it is useful.
And I've seen so much that like you wouldn't think about in the last
Mm-hmm.
2 months. I'm like, how would you do that? And I'm like, well, you don't think about it, and you're like, okay. And
So have you like read through the rule books?
I read through WRPF a few weeks ago, more like a
Mm-hmm.
scroll through read, just like
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
see what it was like and all. But for the most part, I don't read it. I'm like, okay, I know what it is basically. And if I have any questions, I'll ask.
Yeah, good. Are you are you familiar with the other federations weird rules at all?
I am not. I'm
Okay.
a brand loyalist, brand company loyalist. So I'm one of those, if it's USPA, it's USPA. If it's
Yeah.
WRPF, WRPF. I'm not jumping to USAPL, USPA, IPF, IPL, whatever. I'm like
Yeah.
WRPF until we change to whatever in Alabama.
It definitely gets confusing. I think there's so many federations, and then now USAPL and PA are changing their rules and making things not fun for everybody.
Right.
Uh, USAPL in particular, I was going to do one in February. I ended up getting hurt, so I didn't do it. But they actually banned the like talon grip.
Yeah, see,
So
I'm
like
out on that.
putting the bar in
Yeah, I
between.
squat that way. Yeah.
That's how I squat too. I was like, this doesn't. It's not a benefit. Like you don't get like 10 pounds on your squat for doing that, so it doesn't make any sense.
I
It's
mean,
just
it
comfort.
feels better. It
Yeah, it's
feels
just
better
comfort. That's
because, like,
exactly.
I could do that. I do good mornings with that close grip, close
Mm-hmm.
hand, whatever. And it's normal because it's like 170 pounds, whatever. But when you get to 400 pounds, I'm way out here.
Yeah.
And then, yeah,
For me, I mean, I squatted for a long time like this, but I would get like pretty bad like bicep
right.
tendonitis. So it was nice when I switched and it just changed that pressure on my wrist a little bit. Kind of went away. So for me, it would be detrimental in that I would be hurt.
Right.
So that's why I don't get why they make weird rules like that. But
Well,
WRPF is
also,
pretty.
the IPL, IPF, one of them has something now where if you are in the federation and do a meet outside of it, you can't go back into
Yeah,
it now. And it's like,
yeah.
I
They've had
mean,
that for a long time. IPF and PA.
yeah,
So like if you do a meet in like USAPL or USPA, you're banned for like a year or two.
right.
Like sometimes,
Or it's
I
the
think that
coaches
happened to
can't, or
like you can't go coach in another
right, yeah,
fed anything like that. I think that happened to Russ. I think, and then it Russ Orhe, and then it also
right,
happened to Kimberly Wofford. I think, and she's like a masters level competitor that can win the open in her weight
right.
class, and she pulls like 400 pounds at 148, I think, something like that. So I mean, it's a weird rule. I don't really understand it, but that's what I mean. WRPF kind of designs their rules around being accessible and good to the lifters.
Right.
Whereas the other ones, like, they make these weird rules, and it's like, well, you can't do talon grip in our fed. Well, it's like, I don't really want to squat unless I can do talon grip. So
Exactly.
and it's not giving me any benefit. Like these dudes can wear knee sleeves that are as hard as a rock, but I can't put my pinkies under the bar. It doesn't make any sense, right?
Well, like
So,
Alex Uslar and Jawan Garrison,
uh huh,
Alex is his coach, and he was going to do US APL or whatever it was that you couldn't go back out of, whatever.
PA,
And he said, I'm not doing it. And Alex goes, why? He goes, because I want you there. And that's Alex's words in the WRPF podcast a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But he was like, I want you there. So if you can't be there, then. But then you got guys like who will. This is from Alex also from that podcast. They'll be in the audience at the meet, like watching it. It's like a fan, have a headset, and they'll be calling back like, "Hey, calling out the openers or whatever."
Yeah.
And then it's attempts and warm ups and all that. It's hilarious. It's like, I mean, whatever works.
Yeah, that's to me that's doing a little too much, but man, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do, I guess. I actually went and handled a buddy of mine, Gabe Soto, at USAPL Collegiate Nationals in 2020, maybe 21,
Right.
and just to do like a handoff and be in the warm up room, I had to get a coaching band. That makes sense. To get the coaching band, I had to have a USAPL membership.
Yeah, see, that's, I mean.
So I drove 7 hours overnight, and when I got there, I had to also pay $140 or whatever. Not 140. It's like
Right.
$80 or whatever. $80 plus the coaching band fee, and I'm like,
Plus
oh,
hotel.
I'm gonna be here for like 4 hours lifting this dude off. Like, why? This doesn't matter.
Right.
That shit was wild. I think they both do that though. USAPL and Powerlifting America (PA). But like I said, they're not really accessible for lifters.
Right.
Like they make these weird rules, or you can't have like a logo on your shirt.
Yeah,
Like you
see,
can't
I'm
do
out
anything.
on. Yeah, no.
You can't have like your own branded shirt and that logo on the platform.
If it's the Olympics, okay, I get it. Like something
Right.
high like that, okay, yeah. But like something low,
Worlds.
like yeah, but something low
Yeah.
like or local meet, whatever. I'm like, why not? I mean,
Even a regional meet. Like they don't
right.
have that many sponsors, and you're not really in the way. Nobody's gonna like zoom in on your shirt and be like, "Oh, I gotta buy one of those." While it's under a singlet, doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. That's just kind of how it goes. That's powerlifting. It's not really growing how you would think it would, and I think that's part of it. Is like
I
these
think it's
weird
growing
rules.
more than we think it is, though, because there's more people involved in it now, and then the people, like once you get in and find the people in it, you're like, hey, this is a teacher, a nurse, construction worker, whatever, fill in the blank, and it's like we're all here for the same thing. It's like, yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, how are you still here?
Well, I will say that's kind of how it's always been. Like you have a melting pot kind of
Right.
different backgrounds or professions or just because anyone can get into it, any age,
Right.
any body weight. No, there's no like minimum to start, and that always creates like a good environment for everyone is kind of there for the same reason. Whether you're in the same weight class competing against each other or not, most of the time doesn't matter. But I think the reason it's really growing is actually social media, and a lot of people
Yes.
can make money off of lifting heavy and being on social media, right?
Yes.
So like, if that when that wasn't around, like I'm still pretty new to it. I started in 2018, but even back then, like you weren't really making money on YouTube or
Right.
Instagram, or there wasn't even TikTok, but anything else back then, you weren't making money off of making content.
Well, education, even I see it now. Education. People are like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And people are like, "I want to be an influencer or a content
Yeah,
creator."
yeah,
When
right.
I was in school, I'm 10 years out of high school now. It's like when I was in school, we were like, "I want to be a teacher, a doctor, a nurse." Like
Yeah,
we were like the
yeah,
last generation of like the normal jobs. But I mean, they can do
yep.
whatever. And
The internet does make things wild, but it does make powerlifting more popular than ever, more accessible than ever. And I think that's how people are making careers. Like they can create a brand, an
yes,
image, and then sell that on social media while also competing. I don't know if necessarily local meets really benefit from that, but at least it's popular. Maybe it'll
and
grow back to what it was in Alabama. Even in 2018-19, we were having Alabama meets that weren't the state games or regionals that were just local meets, and we had 100 people at the meet, like competing.
wow.
90 people, 60 people, like 60 plus in almost every meet. COVID happened and it kind of all died off. A lot of people retired or got busy, that's just kind of how life goes. Hopefully, it'll grow back into something. We just need more options, and I think the drug tested route is really growing fast. There used to not be any drug tested meats.
I think we need more meats now in Alabama, period, like
Yeah,
across the state. Like, I love going to Huntsville and going to Birmingham and all that, but let's get some over here in Florence and the Shoals. And
yeah.
I was
We used
getting
to
up
have
the
one.
other night, and I think I got to Florence and Mobile with the only two parts of the state we're not in yet,
Mm-hmm.
as far as like where we don't have a meet or have a gym to have a meet. And it's over here in Shoals and then the whole South, like
Yeah.
South Montgomery.
Well, I will say the Montgomery, you have something. Well, maybe not south of Montgomery, but you have Millbrook where
Yes.
Ronald Tarvin and them have Maverick, and then south of that, you have the gym that I go to, Ant Performance, which is a great gym. The only
Right.
problem is it has no AC, but it's the perfect size and venue for a meet.
Right.
Maybe it has to be in October or whatever, but you easily have one down there. Uh, I think the problem is last year we had multiple meets across the state, and then I don't know how many you went to. I know you go to a lot of them, but I went to the Kings and Queens of the Beach, which was in September, and it was in Orange Beach, and there were 16 lifters. So like when you spread it, when you have that many competitions and it's spread out that much,
Yeah.
you kind of water down the amount of people that do it.
Well, see, I
So
remember back in the spring, I messaged Ronald. I was like, "Is y'all's meet not happening anymore?" He told me basically the regionals and state games had wiped out every local meet across in the first half of the year, and it made sense because once we got to regionals, it was like, okay, here's half of us, and at state games, there's the other half. And
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean there was a lot of people at both of those. I will say the Maverick is still happening.
yes,
Yeah,
in the fall, yeah.
yeah,
Talking
it's in.
about the one in March or whenever they had the plan for the spring.
Yeah, they tried
Yeah,
to do. They didn't do any of them before regionals. I don't think. I think they moved all those
right.
or canceled them. But yeah, the Maverick is now in October.
Yes,
I think I'm going to sign up for that one. It's always a good meet, even though it's untested. I don't really care about that part. But I do
I
agree. We do
basically
need to have more, but I think for whatever reason, Alabama powerlifting is scarce, more scarce than it's been in the past.
right.
So we need to grow in general. And I don't really know. I don't really know how you could do that besides have more meets, but then more meets spreads out who can do them, and now you're looking at 15 lifters at a meet, which is just not feasible.
Right. I basically go to all of them in the north half.
Yeah,
Like basically Birmingham's my cutoff because I'm like, if I'm driving 3 hours, I'm competing or
yeah, I understand that. And you could have one in Muscle Shoals and Florence. You don't have to have
yes.
a gym. Like it could be at a venue.
I'm thinking of like venues around here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a local meet this Saturday coming up. It'll probably be this past Saturday once it's posted. But I'm going to use that as like a gauge for interest,
Yeah,
and then be like, okay, how many do we have over here, and could we get one over here for the north half?
yeah. And I mean, the most common place is like a high school
Yes.
gym. It's not that hard to set up. They got big doors to bring everything in.
Right.
The main thing is if you can build interest, keep people signed up, and have volunteers. Like
Yes.
if you get those three things, I think Heidi would come to wherever you're at.
Yes.
It's just hard to market.
Okay.
Start marketing yesterday, basically.
And see, like being in the shows, I say all the time, it's like the sales. He helps the NFL. We're the
Mm-hmm.
way out from everybody else,
Yeah.
and we go to everybody else. Like,
Well, we used to have a meet in Muscle Shoals every year.
yes, that was my first meet, the one in Sheffield,
Sheffield.
2022.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
Carson did that one. Carson Wendell.
yes,
Yeah, he
yeah,
did because it was right before Worlds, IPL Worlds.
yeah. It was like before all the worlds and
Mm-hmm.
Orange Beach had all that high level meets.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I went to Worlds and did spotting and loading there, and it was great. 4 straight days of 55-pound curls over and over and over again. It was awesome.
I heard that on a broadcast. It may have been the one y'all did at regionals. I'm trying to watch through it every chance I get now. And somebody said something like 55-pound curls. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, it makes it.
Yeah, it's over and over again. 55-pound curls over and over and over.
55, 25s, 35s.
You don't even count those anymore. You're on 55 grind all over and over.
Right.
Especially on the like heavyweights. You get to the super heavyweights and you're the sexy heavyweights and you're non-stop red after red after red. And then there's always one guy that's not misplaced, but has to be in that flight that's got like 2 reds on or a red and a blue. You go up to 7 and come back down. God damn.
Or it's the opposite way, and it's like
yeah.
8 reds back to 2s and 3s and 4.
No, that's what I mean. It's like you go all the way up to like 7 reds, and then you come back down because that person goes, and the first person in the flight's doing like a red and a blue. Then you're like, God damn, and it's not even 2 reds. I got to take the other red off too. Yeah, been there, done that. I do. I like spotting and loading too, which kind of gets me to the next question. Like, what makes you like it so much? Like, you give back to the sport in that way. What makes you enjoy it, spotting and loading, as much as you do? Because you're at like all the Alabama meets,
right?
Like you said, in the north especially, but I mean all the way to Birmingham probably.
I like being in spot and loading though, because it's like you're in the meet basically with them, and it's like you're competing, but you're also like, it's a way to give back without money, if that makes sense. And not saying you have to give money or whatever, but like, I mean, you could do 12 meets a year easily.
Yeah. Okay.
But
sure.
Well, I mean, you could.
I could not. No,
in theory, okay.
Yeah, okay.
One
a month. Theory. Yeah. Yes. I'd rather die.
But you can still be at the meet, being at the meet by spotting and loading. And I mean, it's just so much fun. It's just like a NASCAR pit crew, basically. It's like how fast can we get this changed out? And it's like how fast can we go lifter to lifter to lifter. Except for Tuscaloosa 2022, that meet was forever long.
I was there.
That was my second spot in loading. And I was like, oh my gosh. And the one that I remember is having like powerlifting veterans, like say you, Ronald, and everybody being like, this is so long. 3.5 hours on squats. And Josh was at a squat loading too there. 3.5 on bench, 3.5 on deadlift. And it's like, oh my gosh. And
yeah, it was that was the last Alabama USPA meet. Right before all the USPA drama happened and everyone left. And it was the state championships. I think it was a 60 lifter max. And typically you can almost count like 9.9 times out of 10% of the meet number will drop. If you've got 60, whatever fucking 10% of that is, I am not math. Those people normally drop. And then instead, at that meet, no one dropped. So we had it in our mind. Charlie had it in his mind that many were going to drop. They didn't. And 3 people the day before at weigh-ins showed up and they were like, I signed up for the non-tested day by accident. Can you move me over? So not only did no one drop, an additional 3 were added because he's too nice. And then I think those 3 people that added late also, I believe 2 out of the 3 or all 3 bombed out. So that was even more frustrating. But yeah, that meet lasted 12 hours. We went from
I remember leaving
8 to 8 or 9 to 9.
I left at 4:30 or 5 in the morning to go down there. Because I like to be there by the lifter meeting if I can. I don't know. There's sometimes I've been at the lifter meeting and just seeing everybody and be like, okay, we're here, whatever. Plus, if I get held up in traffic, whatever, they'd have time to play with. But then I got back home probably at 11:30 that night, 2.5 hours. And if you ever drove Florence to Tuscaloosa, it is nothing but like county roads, back roads,
trees.
Yes, boring drive. I mean, roll tide still, but like
Well, I mean,
there's no interstate.
I went from that meet which I think my last lifter was at like 5 or 6 o'clock. I went from that very second that they were done to work at a bar downtown. So I went from like 8 a.m. at the meet until 3
Right.
3 a.m. that night. And I worked right after it, like straight through, and it was miserable. Terrible decision. But, I mean, gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Most of them are not that long, as you can tell.
And like my first spot loading was a Decatur one, the Golden 8 meet the year before.
Yep. That was a long one, too.
That was 2 platforms, but my first time spotting the loading. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was just, okay, whatever, basically. And then that one. And I went to Oxford last year, and it was like, I was home by 5:30 or 6, and I was like, what is this? Like 3.5 hours across the state, and I was home by 6 o'clock. I'm like, huh? Like,
Some of them fly, and some of them do not. And I think that that Golden 8 meet, I think, was like 9 hours or something. It was long. 8 or 9, maybe. That's a long meet, but not 12. Anything under 12 is fine. I think that one in Decatur I drove home from, so it was like from Decatur to Tuscaloosa. So same deal, like 9 o'clock, getting home at 11.
Right.
Yeah, not fun.
But also, with back to what y'all was into spotting and loading, being involved in church and college ministry a few years ago with Church of the Highlands, we had stuff like that all the time. It's like, okay, we wake up at 6 a.m. and we go till 11 p.m. Like 6 a.m. classes from 8 to 4, and then our events are from like 5 to 11 with setup and tear down. So just like that, and find a way to give back in a certain way, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for as well. I like spotting and loading for a similar reason, and then I started doing the live stream in Alabama to find a way to give back and help people enjoy the moment without doing like judging or anything like that. Just because we have so many judges, and I don't know if it's necessary right now.
Right.
I would love to judge, but if there's not many spots open, I don't know why I would take that from somebody that might want to do it even more or has the better timing to do it. Well, I think, is there anything in, I guess, powerlifting in general, but mainly like WRPF Alabama, if you could change it, what would you change?
Okay, this is a hot take.
You got a lot of hot takes.
Oh, I got a ton of them.
we can go to those too.
4 a.m.
Yeah.
But the minute timer to start the lift, cut it to 35 seconds or 40 seconds. And just see the difference in the time of the meets. So I know the goal for WRPF is like to get it to where it's like on ESPN and on Fox Sports or whatever, where it can be like a national televised sport. And the Ghost Clash Pro Day was like 9 hours on the broadcast a couple months ago. We were 4.5 to 5 hours at regionals for the night session. If we get that in like 4 hours or less, put it on TV.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, it's tough to say. You know what is on TV?
Strongman.
And you know how long that shit is?
Never watched it. Like, I sat down and watched it.
4 days.
But college football is 4 hours. Some games,
4 days.
Yeah.
Because they do 2 days of prelims, which are televised, and then 2 days of the World's Strongest Man, which is like down to the last 12 people or so.
Right.
I think that's what you would have to do for powerlifting, is not a faster clock, but you got to limit it to like the top 15 people. Because with a faster clock, you got to think like these guys are lifting 800 pounds 3 times in a row, 1,000 pounds 3 times in a row. It's like, do you really want to make them go 30 seconds in between? Like, a lot of those guys want to take the full minute. I think you would keep injuries down if you did it that way, because it would still be fast. Because that'd be like 15 people, and then similar to strongman, in between you have somebody do a random world record attempt, and that's all they do.
That's like the USPA with the fourth attempts, and the WRPF doesn't have fourth attempts. I love that because it's like
we've got fourth attempts. I
Wait,
think they can only be done at like a national level, like a
oh,
regional or
okay.
national level meet. But yeah,
Right.
your fourth attempt has to be like you complete all three, and your fourth attempt is over the record.
Right.
Yeah.
But like, we don't have them
I don't
at
know if
local
USAPL
meets.
does that, but yeah.
So like
I don't think you can do it at local meets anymore. Right.
that Tuscaloosa meet was so long because it kept being fourth attempt, fourth attempt,
That
fourth
is true.
attempt, fourth
That
attempt.
is
And it's
true.
like, okay, I'm sorry, but unless you're going for like 3 or 4 times your body weight, I don't care. Like,
Yeah, it's just the way the rule works. Like, if you break the record on your third, I don't think you could take a fourth. I want to say they were normally reserved for if you could break the fourth. Like you can't reset your own record on your fourth attempt. It was
right.
something like that. But yeah, getting fourth attempts over and over again is kind of wild. But if you got it on
But
ESPN, back to that. If you had, you have your 3 attempts, you have people go the 1 minute, whatever, and as you're switching to bench, you can have someone come out for them to get their rest break and do like a world, like that's where Julius Maddox could do his world record bench attempt
oh yes,
because it would be in a meet setting with judges. He would just do a bench only 3 attempts right there while everybody else got their rest. Like that's kind of how strongman does it. Like
right.
at the Arnold, they do their attempt. They do their not attempts, but they do their movement, like whatever it is, super yoke or something like that. And then while they're changing it out, they have somebody do like a grip attempt world record. You can do
Right.
shit like that, and that would make it watchable, and everyone gets their break in between, and it would still be like a 5 hour, 4 hour event.
Right. My thing is, if we ever get it under 4 hours, it can be televised because there's college football games and some NFL games that go under 4 hours, and people
Yeah,
will sit down and watch those the whole time, and also get more entertaining to where it's like between each lift, you're not having this like dead time.
yeah,
I mean, it's like the baseball argument with the pitch clock. They had to do research on it. They had to find out okay, how much time does actually save us? Is it worth it or whatever? I mean, and baseball's 2.5 hours now. Some nights it's like, hey, 2.5
yeah,
hours. Whoa.
yeah. I don't know if like local meets could ever be televised though. They're
No,
not
but
interesting
no.
enough.
I
It
mean
has
like
to be
the
like the big time.
pro meets, yeah, like those Clash
Yeah,
Maker Pro stuff like
yeah.
that, and
And I think you could probably get them televised without them being live. Because that's actually how they do strongman. Like it is not
yeah,
really live whenever they show it. Normally it's like 3 or 6 months after the fact. It's so weird how they tape it and then show it super
right.
late. They like they just had World's Strongest Man, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And they'll televise it in December. Like it normally gets televised for Christmas, and it just blows my mind. Doesn't make any sense. They televise it live in the
Well, hey,
UK,
that
but
might be the solution there for now.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Uh,
like if you did
YouTube
that, it would
Live,
be, and you could be doesn't have to be live. You do it recorded, and then you have the whole editing format,
right?
so it's like watchable, and then it goes on ESPN Ocho. I don't fucking know.
And then,
Like, who cares? Just get it on
that
something.
that is the wildest day too, because it's like, what
Yeah,
is this I'm watching? It's like cornhole or somebody said something that they saw one night. It was the Excel spreadsheet championships, and I
hell
was
yeah.
like, huh? Then I saw ads for it,
I'm gonna
and it was like people like going to Excel fast as they can. I'm like, I can't get their Google sheet without
actually.
like.
I just saw a clip of that somewhere the other day. Actually, the guy was doing the Excel spreadsheet channel. I forgot about that. I sent it to Corey Elder because she's an accountant.
Right.
That's all she does is fucking spreadsheets. That's so stupid. But I
I
mean,
love spreadsheets. They're fun.
I think I've seen ESPN Ocho, and it was like a high diving competition, but it was like a community pool, and it was all frat guys. It was so weird. Yeah, that's fucking weird. Maybe we could get on there. They show the weirdest shit anyways, so I don't know.
If we change the
I don't
clock
know how
though,
you I don't know how you apply for that. How do you apply for ESPN Ocho time slots. Maybe it is just like it's like an open spreadsheet, and you just put your video link in there, and they just play it.
Yeah, like seeing like all the pros meets on there would be like, so much fun because it's like you can watch them on YouTube live and then watch them on there with all the cuts and whatnot, like cut to
Yeah,
this lifter and
yeah. I
take
think
all the dead time out.
yeah, that's how you'd have to do is like replay buttons, back not backstage, but like a walk up cam, like
Right.
that's the kind of stuff you'd have to have for it to be watchable. We had a little bit of that at regionals too. Like there was a camera on the platform, and there was a camera on the not necessarily walk up, but like the waiting area,
Right.
chalk bowl. People smelling salts and chalking up, staring at the bar. Yeah, I think that's the only way you could do it.
Right. Also, another hot take. Let's take smelling salts out. You either lift it or you don't. No smelling salts. You don't have to have them.
I mean, you're not wrong, but like, where does it stop? Like, no, now you just want to have a raw meat where you're like, no sleeves, no belt, no wrist straps.
Wait.
See,
I do want.
because they don't really do that much, if anything. So
I do
same
want
deal.
sleeves and belt. So yeah, like I'm a belt dependent lifter.
Arguably, smelling salts might do more than knee sleeves. Because like the studies they've done, knee sleeves don't do much,
Right.
but like psychological arousal does, and that's all smelling salts do for someone is like they just get you going. Like that's the whole point.
Right.
So technically, they are a performance enhancer by the definition of performance enhancer. So PED, because it is a drug. Ammonia is a drug as well, so it is a PED technically. So is caffeine, but caffeine is just not a banned substance. So,
well, if you ban caffeine, you then ban Mountain Dew and all that too. So it's like,
well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people would struggle if caffeine was banned. That's like the lifeblood of lifting weights now. Whether it's through Mountain Dew or Monster Energy or powders.
Mine is powders from Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
I found them when I was in education a few years ago, and I basically live off of them now. It's like 110 milligrams per stick, and I can do 7 or 8 a day, no issue.
Okay, interesting. That's a lot.
Well, throughout the day, I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, still. Caffeine has like a 4-hour half-life, I think. Something like that. So it lasts in the bloodstream 4 to 5 hours, I believe. And then you're doing fine though, because the lethal dose is like 10,000 milligrams, I think. So
yeah, I saw that. Where some dude like was trying to make a pre-workout or something, like trying to create a new one, and he misread his calculation, and it was like way over. It was like the wrong unit or whatever measurement.
yes,
and it nearly killed him. I was like, I mean,
yeah, I think he did. He was like trying to do 300 milligrams or something, and actually did 3 grams or something. So
yeah,
it was a lot.
way
Yeah,
more than
instead of 300, he got 3,000. Yeah, that's a lot. And then there was some guy in Mexico, I think, that used to make YouTube videos and trying to go viral. He did like 5 scoops of Jack 3D and had a heart attack immediately. So, natural selection or something like that. I don't know.
natural selection. Yes.
I mean, speaking of PEDs, thoughts? Are you ever taking them or?
Unless Chick-Fil-A has PEDs in it, I am free, natural, 100%. But if Chick-Fil-A has PEDs in it, oh well.
Well, yeah. I think you're safe with Chick-fil-A, but they're kind of a hot topic. I know I'm not even part of WRPF, but WRPF Alabama changed kind of the way they drug test a little bit, and they added in some stricter testing. So they're trying to catch people that are cheating the system, because it's kind of hard to catch people
right.
with a normal piss test. So they're doing a full panel on a lot of people to try and weed out people that get off whatever they're taking for like 2 weeks to pass a test.
Yeah, I saw that come out after the I think it was regional meet, maybe all that broke out.
Yep.
And I was like, what happened? Who was it?
Well, there's always reports of people that like talk about getting off what they're taking for a
Right.
month so that it can pass a test. Like it's been going on forever. And they're just trying to be more diligent and catch those people because they want it to be fair.
Right.
That's all.
No, I walk in basically every meet, either with Chick-Fil-A or I just ate Chick-Fil-A. Like when I go to a meet, I will find the nearest Chick-Fil-A, and then okay, where's Chick-Fil-A at? Where's the meat site?
Yeah. Don't do the Ultimate Warrior because it's always on a Sunday.
My next meet's on Sunday actually, and it's like
okay, down bad performance in the gutter. No Chick-fil-A pre-workout.
Or unless you order it on Saturday, and like
yeah, keep it rolling over. Just double your order. Eat it in the morning. I had it yesterday, right after the gym.
Had it this morning, tomorrow morning.
I don't know if I could do it every morning. I mean, I could. It's delicious.
Okay, here's the order.
Be expensive.
10 chicken minis, 4 chicken minis, and hash browns. It's 1,000 plus calories, near 100 grams of protein, all in breakfast. So, I mean,
near 300 grams of fat.
Probably.
Yeah, that's a lot. 14 chicken minis in one sitting. That's a lot.
Or if I have time, I'll eat half like when I first get it, and then like the other half like throughout the day, or whatever. There's like a 5-hour window you can eat it still. Like.
So when you're talking about Chick-fil-A, you're mainly talking about chicken minis.
Yes. They should serve them all day. I don't know why they don't.
They are kind of an all-day thing. Like,
yes,
they're not really a breakfast biscuit. It's more like a sweet dinner roll that's small. Like, it would make sense for it to be all day. That would be expensive. And I am a student that is not allowed to have a job, so.
Well, I'm a teacher, so like basically the same.
Hey, you could have a summer job. I knew all the teachers that worked at like the bar in the summer. They all worked at the one restaurant in town in the summertime.
Ours more like side gigs, like they'll sell Avon or whatever, and it's like, and the teach.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can do that too. Avon, It Works wrap. What else? That fucking pink supplement powder shit that people sold for like 8 months. God, there's so many scams, pyramid schemes you can get into all summer long.
The teas,
yeah, the teas, the detox tea,
biggest pyramid scheme, scam.
All of them are. That's how they work, though. They're like, you sign. I think this is how Flex Fitness works too. Joey Flex. He you sign up, but you get your friends signed up and their friends signed up, then you get a discount. Or he has the pyramid of coaches where he's at the top, and then he's got 3 coaches under him, and then 4 coaches under them, and then 5 coaches under them. And you got to pay the tier cost for each one. It's like Joey's $250, but then this one's $180, and this one's $120. So
the funniest thing in powerlifting though is seeing all the people with all their food for meet days, and they're seeing like variety of foods. And it's like you got everything from like Chick-fil-A to Waffle House to what else? I did Zack for my last meet.
Yeah,
because Chick-fil-A wouldn't deliver.
I mean, I've done the like Hardee's, McDonald's, all that shit. I'm a big eat what I normally eat on meet day kind of guy now.
I'm the same way. Like if I don't eat it during prep, I'm like, I take a meal prep in with me. Right.
And pray there's a microwave.
See, that's my thing. I have to know there's a microwave and all that. If I don't know that, I'm like,
Nah, I'd eat it cold. I'll bring chicken thighs and rice, and I'll eat that shit cold if I have to. I would rather do that. I would rather do that than have to like eat Zaxby's and possibly shit myself. right? Like I know what I'm getting with what I prep. I know what
Right.
I'm going to feel. I know how it's going to be. But if I get Zaxby's, it's kind of up in the air. Did they clean their grease in the last year and a half, or am I going to be on the toilet in an hour and a half?
I have a first attempt
For an hour.
squat, first attempt
Yeah.
bench, and on the toilet.
Yeah. I'm going to be
I
like
hope some,
Anthony
yeah,
Foster. Yeah. Is that what you're about to talk about? Yeah. I'll be like
that's
Anthony
what
at
I was
state games and be shitting during my first attempt. Someone have to come get me out of the bathroom.
I was on the platform with spot and load, and Chris was like, "Can I get time for bathroom? Like, how much time to bathroom break? Can we get time?" Like, it was like the changeover, and it's like,
No bathroom breaks. Get your ass out here. Fucking Anthony. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah. I don't want to be
strong was
like
an
that.
oxo too. I mean, like
Well,
pulling
yeah.
830. I mean, like, yeah, more power to you.
I can't do that. But he also eats like pounds of wings during prep.
Roll time.
But yeah, right. But he's nearly a sexy heavyweight. So he's like a light sexy heavyweight. Light heavy. If we even call it that, I guess 275, 308. What are some of your other hot takes? I know you don't believe in
Let's see.
RPE.
No, I do not believe in RPE.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's subjective, unless you know what you're doing. And if you know what you're doing, go for it. I mean, I know you do RPE with your athletes, don't you?
Yeah. I think. Well,
Yes.
the whole point of it is it's subjective.
Right.
So yes, you're right. But that is the reason we use it.
Right. But like most people don't know what they're doing with it, and they're just like, "Oh, I had one more," and they're over there like about hitching with their back braced back all the way like here, and
Yeah.
it's like RPE 9, coach. It's like that's RPE 12s.
Yeah, that is what will happen too. That's what I mean, if somebody sends me something and it's like supposed to be RP7 and it looks like an RP9, I will tell them that. If they max
Right.
out and it's supposed to be RP7, then it's like, okay, well you just you didn't ruin the plan, but now we have to rethink what next week and the week after that's going to be. Because
Right.
you just have to take into account the extra fatigue. With percentages, you see like 91% for 3 for 2 sets today. So I have to do 91%. And if
Right.
you feel like dog shit that day, you didn't get Chick-fil-A, you had no Mountain Dew that day, your caffeine intake was at 300 instead of 720. So now you're like, I feel like shit and I have to do 91%. This is not going to go well.
Right.
And then it's like RP10 grinder for 2 sets. Well, to me, 91% should never be an RP10. It's 91%. But
Right.
instead, if I give you RP8 and I say, this shouldn't be a grinder, and you hit RP8 and it turns out to be 91%, well, then it's like goal accomplished and you had room to grow.
Right. My
That's kind of
last
where it
prep,
comes from.
that we did, I think we did 10 weeks, and it was a RPE similar program, but it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't RPE. It was on 5 rep max, 3 rep max, 1 rep max, or 8 rep max every day. And then a drop set at 85 or 90% for 3 plus, 5 plus, a 3, a 5, or a 1, depending on what, if it was a 5 rep max, it'd be a 5 plus drop set or a 5. And then if it was a 3 rep max, it'd be a 3 rep or 3 plus reps max. The numbers on that I pushed were crazy because it was like how I felt. If I felt I had 95% for my 3 rep max that day, great. If I felt like I had 85%, great. But it was all like what I felt. So I mean, I think I might have went down once in the 10 weeks, but I was always like pushing up. Like on my squats, it was always
Right.
like 425, 430, 435, 445, 445, 440, 455, 465. And I squatted 465 in prep. And it was a 4-second grind coming up. I had 2 spars on the sides. We were all sitting there, and we're just like, oh my gosh. It's like, it wouldn't move. And it's just like, this is the bar. It was moving very slow.
Right.
I count. I was like, it was 4.5 seconds or so of a grind. Longest 4 seconds of my life.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like an RPE adjacent program.
Yes, but
Like it's
it was
basically
like
RPE without calling it RPE.
what my coach said. It was like a Louis Simmons old school drop set style, and he told me even if I wasn't if I was a new lifter, he would have gave it to me. Since I lived for so long, he was like, "I know you know what you're doing. Go for it."
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever heard of that
It was
ever.
MASH, called the MASH program. Yeah,
Mash.
yes, like
I'll have to look at it.
MASH.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it. Never heard of it. Definitely not heard of a Louis Simmons drop set program
Well, like
either.
that like era. He meant like that kind of era of like old school, push
Okay.
yourself to you can't, and then drop down to 9%. I mean,
Yeah, I think my only worry is I don't know that most people can recover from something like that.
right.
Like I would
I'm the same way. I'm
probably
like, yeah,
break. I would have a break. I would have a breaking point, especially if I saw 5 rep max plus sets of 5 after. I would just, I don't
it
know.
was one set of five. So it was like
Either
you
way,
work up to the max and then drop down for three or three plus. I had a spotter on every squat and bench that I think all prep at least from week 4 on.
yeah,
And what's great is this: one of the spotters, give him a shout out, look under Childress. I work at a crunch, so it's all commercial bars, commercial plates, and all
yep,
that. It's like prime time hours, 4 in the afternoon. I can be in the gym squatting. I'll come off set. I'll look around. He'll catch my eyes. He'll be like, "You need me?" Or "Not yet." I'm like, "Not yet." About 5 minutes or whatever. And then at some point, since we get all three spotters, and I've seen even times where like I'll be in the mirror, ready to squat. Somebody will stop what they're doing to watch. I'm like, "All right, they're watching. Can't fail."
I do not miss lifting at crunch.
It's the best we got up here. So I mean,
Yeah, I
do what
did
you
that
do.
in
I mean, yeah.
Tuscaloosa. I did that in
Oh,
Tuscaloosa for like,
Tuscaloosa.
yeah, yeah. I think it was like the busiest crunch in the nation at the time. It was awful. It was fucking awful.
Ours is a good mix. So we have like a good mix of like people that know what they're doing and young people. So it's like a good mesh.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like we have like the crazy memes on Instagram where it's people on the cable swinging like
We
monkeys or
had
whatever.
that.
And it's like we have a good
We had that.
knowledge, right?
Nope, not us. There was like 6 powerlifters maybe. We all were there at the same time, and then everyone else. It was like all college students, and then occasionally, I mean, not all college students, mostly college students, and then some like middle-aged people. And then I
Right.
remember for like 2 straight weeks, there was like a group of arm wrestlers that came in. And the reason I know they were arm wrestlers, they brought their own attachments for the cables, including a small like table that they used. They put their elbow on, and they would like had this attachment where they were like internally and externally rotating and like doing arm wrestling on the little table
See,
they attached
we
to
don't
the
have that.
rack.
We don't have
Yeah, it
that.
was wild. It was fucking weird.
But what happened in Florence though was this: we still have the gym that we all went to, but it was like a small local gym,
Hmm.
small business owned. And when Crunch opened, like everybody came over to Crunch.
Right.
And I remember somebody saying it's like more equipment, double the space, same people.
Yeah. And $10 a month.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to beat, and then it's also hard for local gyms to compete
Yes.
unless they have something different. You have to differ yourself. You'd have to be like a powerlifting / real bodybuilding gym or something like that.
Right.
Otherwise, you will never make it anymore.
Let's see what other hot takes I have. Let's see. You can probably cut this if you need to, like that silence or whatever.
I can do that. I can do that. What any powerlifting hot takes?
The most impressive lifters that I meet are not the guys all the time. It's either the young guys or the older people, like 40 plus, who are pushing double or triple their body weight. And then if you know their stories and all that, even more impressive then. I mean,
Yeah, I mean that's probably a rarity, 4 times body weight, but I think that's a rarity in general. But yeah, I think one of the most enjoyable things I've seen at a powerlifting meet was like when I did IPL World, or yeah, when I spotted and loaded IPL Worlds. some of the guys that were going up and doing that were like in their 70s and 80s, and like they were competing on the day, and it was just cool to watch because it didn't really matter what was on the bar or what they were
It's like,
doing.
let's
They were
go,
like,
right? Yeah.
yeah, they were celebrating for it. Like they're pulling like a RP zero deadlift 3 times in a row, and then
Right.
they're like fist pumping, like jumping up and down. You know, you could barely slide a piece of paper under their feet, but they were still jumping.
Right.
Like that was cool to watch. I do agree. It's like sometimes the older guys are super interesting to see. The older women. I don't know. I've seen some pretty crazy lifts at meets.
People give
And
kids a bad rap now, and it's like, why are you giving them a bad rap if they're squatting 500 pounds or benching 300 pounds at age 15?
well, I can tell you why. Because being cringe should be illegal. So, like, I don't care if you can squat 700 or 900 or bench
Right.
600 and what age you are. You can be 12 or 45. Cringe is cringe. Like, don't do it. Like, there are so many people out there that do more than you at your age, less than your age, especially at local meets.
Right.
Get hype, get excited is one thing, but like some things I see from
Don't throw
people I
your
can
belt
name.
across.
I can name people that I see on Instagram that are locals that I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? You are not that good of a lifter.
It's me, right?
I get,
It's me, right?
not, not who I'm first thinking of. No,
Which
but
I don't
like,
post my whole setup either for squats. I'll be like off the platform and then step into it and all.
it is a lot. I think it would flamboyant is the phrase you could use. Like it's not like one side of it, but it's just like extra.
Right.
You know, I'm mainly talking about the chain in the mouth, Jesus earring, broccoli hair. There's a specific category of people that I'm
I
kind
don't
of
understand the chain in the
thinking
mouth.
about.
I'm like, what does a chain in the mouth do for you? I'm like,
Oh, they just saw Russell Orhe do it.
says the
That's
person
what
who
it
does
does.
says the person who's a high leg kick on a squat snap for a 1 rep max.
Well, that's fair, but I don't know anyone else that does that.
But it's also not over the top as far as like,
It's over the top.
I mean, I'm not coming off the platform.
It's over the top. It's okay.
Yeah, but I mean,
But the chain in the mouth, the difference is I don't know of anyone ever I've seen that does a high kick, but I have seen many that wear a chain in their mouth. So it's like they're copying someone that's
right.
already not that cool. You're at least doing something original.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know where it came
Think,
from either. My mom asked me after that meet, is that new? I was like, yeah, I don't know where it came from or how I got it, whatever, but it just clicked one day. I was doing that heavy single or whatever at crunch. And I go into the mirror, I'm getting set for the lift. And something about it, like gets my feet set or like helps me set my feet, whatever. I don't know. I can't explain it, but like,
I will say actually, Big Z, uh, God, I don't know how to say his name. Either way, USAPL super heavyweight, super giant dude, but he does a really really hard stomp, like 2 of them. So he'll like
right,
get under the bar and then he'll stomp 1 foot, and he's big as fuck. I mean, he's like 320 and 6'7", like he's fucking giant. And then he'll kind of get set under the bar, and then he brings his left foot in and he like fucking stomps hard as shit. So similar to that, but like I don't even know if you know who he is. So
I
clearly
think, but I'm
hard
not
to
really
copy.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah. And yours isn't the same as his either, but still.
right.
That's the only one I can think of that I'm like, he kind of does a stomp, not really big of a kick.
Right.
Perseus Black used to do, he always did like a foot sliding thing, like a bull. Like he would
Right.
always
Oh,
like,
okay. Yeah.
he would always like scrub his feet on the ground like a bull. That's what I always thought of when I
Right.
saw it. I don't know if anyone else ever said that or made that connection, but that's what I always thought of as like, it's kind of like a bull starting before they go after the red.
Right.
That's the only thing I can think of from that. I will say there are not that many unique setups.
Who's the one? I think he's British, but he'll bang his head into the bar. He was
There's
at
a bunch
American
of
Pro
those.
last year, but he'll like
No,
basically he'll
he's
go,
not
go to the
British.
bar
Yeah.
and bang it.
Yeah, you're
Hell,
talking
cut
about
right here.
Andrew House. That was
Not
it.
entirely sure. I have no clue.
He's one of those that slams his forehead into the bar until he bleeds. Then he squats. So he's got like blood
Hey,
running down while he goes.
that'd be cool to see too, like a heavy squat, blood running down. Just like,
It is cool, but then on the other side of things, like,
you gotta clean the bar.
well, yeah, I mean, I would be pissed if I was a spotter, but uh, besides that, I was in the building. Ray Williams squatted 1042 for a cluster double, and there's no extra setup. He just gets under the bar and just sets and goes. Like, he's not like slamming his head against the bar or fucking shaking the rack or anything. He just like, I think it's one of those things in sports. When I was growing up and playing basketball, coach was always like, act like you've been there before.
Right.
Don't get too hyped before the game. Don't get too hyped before plays, because it fatigues you mentally to do that sometimes. Right. Some people get really used to it. Oh, also Anthony Foster does a high kick on bench.
For bench.
I forgot about it until just now. He does a high kick on bench.
I remember at the state games, on his second bench, Chris Webster turned around and goes, "You got to step up your setup game." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Watch this." And I was like, "Okay, so what's he going to do?" He gets laid down on the bench and throws his leg in there. I'm like, "How in the world do you throw your leg up?"
Yeah, he won't. If you're like lifting off and you aren't ready for it, he might kick you in the face. Like, it comes close. Yeah, he's almost got me with it a few times. Got to be careful. There's some other guys too. That's like an old school thing on bench. A lot of the guys that used to do geared lifting, they would do that whenever they're trying to get their feet tucked underneath them all the way. Right. They'd kick their legs up real high, so they have like a lot of force to come back down behind them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's where he got it from, but that's one way to do it.
No, with my leg kick though, I embrace it. I'm like, look, is it over the top? Yes. Does it get me high? Yes. Do what works for you. I mean, to an extent. I mean, don't jump through the ceiling and.
Well, I was actually about to mention that. That's like an very old school thing. Fred Hatfield, Dr. Hatfield, he was Dr. Squat at the time. That's where Hatfield squats come from. It's from him. So he's a very... No, Hatfield squats are where you would do like a safety bar, and you have like another bar or pins or something to hold on to, and you sit back while you have your arms holding on to something the whole time.
I saw a pin squat one time and thought it was that or whatever. I thought, wait, is that not what that is? And
no, just pin squat is just where you go down to the safeties and come back up. Yeah. But he used to do this thing, and it's termed post-activation potentiation, which some people use that loosely whenever they do like a heavy unrack or something like that, static walkouts. Some people do.
Yeah.
Don't know how. I don't know necessarily if those actually work. I think that's dependent on the person. But anyways, he would do something before he went to deadlift. He would jump as high as he could. He had like a 40-inch vertical, and he was just some random country-ass white dude that was also a doctor of exercise science. But he would do like a 40-inch vertical and then walk up to the bar and deadlift. So they said it's like you do a very high-impact athletic move right before your strength lift. And it was like, for him, it increased his top end just a little bit. So hey, there is actually something to that.
Hey, my kick, that's fine.
If you could use both legs, and instead of kicking up, you put your body up, maybe we can get it on the same level.
Do a muscle up on the bar, like.
Oh, that would be interesting. I've wanted to see someone go in and do a double. You know your first attempt is easy enough. You know your second attempt is easy enough. So you do your first one for 2. Like, you just do 2 reps real quick before they can rack it. So like, you stand up with it, and before they say rack, you just go down again and get a double in on your opener. You know you're going to get red lighted, but it'd be funny.
Right.
Some guy did that on deadlift at IPF Worlds at some point, I think, or it was like an IPF regional meet or something. He did a double on his second deadlift.
Oh, here's a hot topic. What's your thoughts on being too close or too far away or just right on spot and loading?
Oh, I don't even think it's an argument. I don't really understand. I didn't see I only saw the original post like as a screenshot, and then that one guy with was talking over it, but I never saw the actual person that posted it. I imagine they're not very knowledgeable, or they had one bad experience and like that's
Right.
their opinion now. Because end of the day, like it's dangerous. So why wouldn't you want to be safe? I don't understand.
Right.
That's all. I mean, I just don't think it makes sense
Right.
to be like, I don't want them close to me. And I actually have heard this in person before. Jeff Ray spotted at a meet, and he's been doing this shit for longer than you or I have been alive. Like he's been competing in powerlifting for
Yeah, I think
longer
it's
than
like
we've been alive.
32, or they said regionals, 32 years, 33, something like that.
I think it's more than that, but yeah,
Yeah, at
like
least.
if you look at his open powerlifting, it goes back to 32 years. But he's been competing since his first entry in open powerlifting is a world championship, right? So he probably didn't
His first.
start competing at worlds. He competed before that, and that's the most recent. Anyways,
Right.
he was back spotting during a meet, and this young kid complained because he said he bumped Jeff's hat. Jeff was wearing a hat. He
Right.
bumped the bill of the hat on his way up, and it threw him off balance. That's why he missed his squat. Yeah, right. That was my reaction too. I don't know, what are we talking about? So like
See,
people
I
will.
never thought of that wearing a hat. I mean,
Yeah,
like
I
if I
mean I
wear a
don't.
hat, it's backwards. But I mean, like it's more for me, like catching my sweat, not having to readjust every lift or whatever. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I mean I don't. Maybe that's why he was wearing it too. But Jeff's fucking 55. He's not wearing a backwards hat.
right.
Right? He's not wearing a backwards hat. So the kid bumps the hat, and then I watched the video. I didn't even see him bump the hat. So if he did, it was like very minute. So
Right.
then he blames Jeff's hat for missing his squat, and that would be someone that's like, "Oh, the spotter was too close." It's like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Simply,
I'm in the you can't be close enough crowd because I'm like, if they do fall over, I mean,
yeah. Somebody passed out at IPL World or IPF. I keep doing that. IPF
yeah, that's
Worlds
what
like
started it.
this weekend. Oh, was
Yeah,
it?
that's what started. Yeah, that's what started it. And then somebody commented on it and called out David, and everybody came out and supported David. Like he's not
Right.
too close. He's just close enough. Here's the proof of why. I mean,
Yeah. I think you posted that squat of the guy at IPF Worlds. That was in like 2019 or something. And yeah, I don't really remember what happened. I think the problem was with those guys, they told them like last minute, the day of, that they were spotting and loading.
right,
And it was like the super heavyweights. So they weren't prepared for that. And then they weren't in unison either. Like obviously in that video, half the people grab whatever it is, 800 pounds, and half the people don't. And then this dude is left in like no man's land with the bar halfway on his back, and he's fucking dying. So
right.
he
Hey,
ended up being fine.
as a spotter though, over 600 pound squats scare me because I'm like, okay, I need to beat them down on the squat. So if you ever watch me spot and loading, if it's a 600 plus pound squat, I'll be there and I'll be in half a squat already before they even start. Like they'll come out, they'll walk it out. I'm in the half squat already because I'm like, okay, they can't get this. I need to fire off. And
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I've spotted and loaded at meets where more or less wraps scare me more than anything. If someone's in knee wraps, but like even the walkout, people can fuck up and collapse.
right,
Like so, you want to be close on the walkout. That's what scares me and annoys me sometimes when I'm spotting and loading with people because I have to like signal, like stay close. I have to signal while someone is lifting.
right,
And it's like if I saw that out of the corner of my eye and I'm seeing the spotters talking about staying close, then it makes me nervous. So shit like that. Like if I'm lifting and I saw that, I'd be like, why the fuck do they need to stay close? I should be fine. Am I not
right.
fine? So
Well, see, like David
yeah.
is so good though too. At regionals, on my deadlift, I'll step in like high over the bar and
Yeah.
I'll slide my feet back into position because I bring the bar back to me. So I tell him, hey, I'll slide my feet back, just like hey, I'll slide my feet back. He was like, all right, got you, whatever. So he knew he was ready for me to like come back with my feet and then go. Even still, that he's still right there with me, just in case something happens, freak incident, whatever. I mean, and
Right.
I'll take that all the time over being so far back where it's I gotta catch him or whatever. And
Yeah. And that's what happened at Worlds. last week was somebody passed out on their deadlift. But like that's how they want the spotters to be. So like that person passed out on their deadlifts and
And a
everybody's
regional
just standing
spotter,
there.
if we're talking about the same
Yeah,
one,
right. Yeah. That's
he
what they
he
want.
got he did the deadlift, came off, goes to walk back, and just falls over. Like
Yeah.
goes to limp and falls over, and it's like,
Yeah, no one does anything. But
right,
that's how they do it there. I don't really know why. They don't have a back spotter. Like they have
which
someone that
is
runs the
crazy.
jack. They have someone that runs the jack to jack the deadlifts up, but they're like fucking miles away during the lift. I don't really know why. It's
Runs
weird.
off the stage. Like,
Yeah, I mean he's like fucking behind the fucking IPF logo thing. He's got to watch it on camera. He's got to watch it on video to know when to run back out there. Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. That's been a contingency with them for a long time. Is that back spotter or
the
lack
bad part
thereof?
about the funny part about spot loading though is when everybody gets their pictures back and videos posted, whatever. It's always like, okay, how stupid did I look in that picture or video?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty stupid.
like,
I back spotted a bit, and I always look like a fucking idiot.
on deadlifts, I can say
Mainly
like Star
because
Wars.
oh, I think mainly it's because you're like trying to look for the screen and make sure the weights are right. So half the time you're like counting in your head, like fucking looking around, looking at other people, giving a weird thumbs up to the judge, like all kinds of shit. It's fucking yeah. There's not much Taylor can do.
Right. I mean,
She can only do so much.
right. Like every deadlift at state games in the second session, I was the back spotter for it, and every video and everything was hilarious. I mean, like,
Yeah, yeah. It is cool to see sometimes in like people's videos or pictures. It's like, oh yeah, I was in that one.
right.
Like in just shitload of videos for no reason. Oh yeah, I did. I was in that one. Nice. Yeah. All in all, I think Alabama powerlifting is growing again. There are
Yes.
more people than ever interested. We'll see how the rest of the meets this year turn out. Hopefully there's a big turnout. And if there's not a big turnout of signups, there needs to be a big turnout of people supporting, like people going
Right.
to the meets. Otherwise, it's just going to be stagnant again.
I think that's where it's got to be though. Is like the people coming to the meets though, because you can get all this in the room easily. Like you can get all this in the room and say, "Hey, we're gonna go to a meet, whatever, and watch." Okay, great. But can you get? And most people have their like basics like parents, spouses,
Yep.
siblings, aunts, uncles. You do 60 times 4. That's bad at math.
240?
yeah, 240 people at a meet.
Yeah.
Then you can just multiply on up. I mean, I like the session approach now. What they're doing because the session approach breaks it up because it's not like it's 60 straight lifts. It's like okay, 40 and then 40. I mean,
Right. It makes it tough on the judges and the spotters and loaders. That's all.
yes,
Because like that's how it was at regionals. I think it was good that it was broken into sessions, but to have judges there for 12 hours or 14 hours, whatever it was, is tough.
yes.
So they'll figure that out. We'll see. Shift work.
Oh yeah. Well, I thought even at state games, I remember not spotting benches in the second session after the first flight. And I told Heidi, I was like, hey, I'm going to set up the rest of the bench and then back spot all the deadlifts. She was like, okay, fine. So I intentionally said, okay, look, I'm setting out 3 flights and then going 4 flights back to back to back to back to back. I mean,
I feel like that's normal for spotting and loading.
right.
You only have so many people there, and some people sign up for like half the day, and some people are there all day, so it's kind of up in the air. If you could meet any athlete, alive or dead, and have lunch or dinner or whatever you want to eat with them, Chick-Fil-A, I guess.
A workout.
Yeah, a workout. I don't know, Chick-Fil-A and a workout. Yeah, some of them might like that if they're dead, for sure. Yeah, if you could have a squat or deadlift or bench session with anybody, who would it be?
Okay, but non-traditional answer here. No one has said it on the podcast yet. The Rock.
Okay, Dwayne Johnson's a good one though.
Yes.
I mean that would be pretty awesome. He's a pretty
Give me
interesting guy, But
give me a whole
I will.
day.
A whole day to
Give me
24
a whole
hours.
day. Yes, with all its food, all the workouts, like the movie diet, Dwayne.
Yes. Yeah. So you're like at his home, like a day in the life with Dwayne Johnson.
Yes, like the
featuring Zack Pounders.
4 workouts. What is it?
The 4 a
1,700
day.
calories.
Yeah. The only problem I see with The Rock is there's this conspiracy theory that he's just completely not a real human being. Like everything he does and says is like written by his PR department, because he tries so hard to not get canceled. And if you look at his social media, you can see it. Because like anytime he posts something slightly controversial, he immediately posts like an apology and like, oh, I was so wrong to think this way. I should be more careful with what I say. But then he'll do the same thing like 2 weeks later because he forgot. So I do like the answer though. I mean, The Rock would be cool to hang out with. I would want to try and figure out if he's real or fake. Even on the Joe Rogan podcast, he sounded like a fucking robot. He didn't sound like a real human being. He's like always in character. I think that's the issue.
I mean, exactly.
He's not Dwayne.
If he got canceled, he would be uncanceled because he would like go off on a promo right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean he would just promo for whatever he got canceled for. Like he makes so much money, it doesn't matter.
Somebody tries to cancel him for whatever reason. He goes, "It doesn't matter what you think." Here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. How many Chick-Fil-A chicken sandwiches do you think you could eat in one sitting?
Oh gosh.
Because I've hammered a bunch. Like I've hammered a bunch.
Okay, how long is the sitting though?
How long can you sit? I mean, that's up to you.
The day after the state against me, I sat down for like 2 hours straight. I looked up at my clock and I was like, I've been sitting for 2 hours. I do not care. Like, but let's see, say 3 or 4. Now chicken minis. If I had a meat, 20 at least.
Okay, 20 in one sitting, and we're saying 2 hour sitting.
Yes, no. Chicken minis is 20. The sandwich is about 3 or 4.
Yeah, in 2 hours, about.
Yes.
Okay, I will
Maybe
say
5 or
that
6 in 2 hours.
The Tuscaloosa Chick-fil-A used to, I don't know if they still do, they used to do an all-you-can-eat day. It was all-you-can-eat chicken nuggets. And you got like 12 to begin with, and it cost like $18 or something. You got 12 to begin with and fries. And then once you finish the fries and the 12, they would bring you 6 more every time you ordered.
Buffalo Islands do that now. It's Monday and Wednesday. Yeah. All you can eat for like $20 wings and fries. Some girl tried it for how long she could do it. And I think she was like 12 hours from open to close, and like near 70 wings or whatever.
That's miserable numbers. I think I could do 70 in an hour and a half.
No, she's over 12 hours. It was like the whole day she was there. Like,
that sounds miserable. To be at Buffalo Wild Wings for 12 hours, I would have to be down tremendous. I would have to be at the lowest point of my life.
There are some sports days where I could be in there for 12 hours easily. Like some Saturdays
be anywhere else. I'd rather be at Sports Clips watching the games. I love Buffalo Wild Wings, but 12 hours? Absolutely not.
I have been there for like 4 though before watching baseball. Like I'll go I'll go watch baseball games there all the time. Like get there when it starts.
Shit, back in the day, back in the day when they were cool, we used to go watch the fights there. And that was like 4 hours. You know, they'd show the prelims and then the main event. Like it was awesome. Right. But I mean, 12 hours. I don't care if it's all you can eat or not.
At one point, I was so much of a constant at both Wild Wings that the waitresses would walk up. They'd be like, "Mountain Dew," and it's like, "Yes." You want that? Yes. And yeah.
Yeah. The regular.
Yeah.
The usual.
Put it in the title card or whatever. Like get people to listen to it. It's probably the worst episode people have ever listened to, but the funniest one.
No, we had our third episode was about dolphin sex, so Right. There's not much you can. There's no way you can be worse than that.
Yeah, okay. My next meet is been teasing on social media the last few weeks, or whatever. So yeah, why not now? My next meet
The
is St.
announcement.
Louis. This is
You have a hat to go along with this. Taking your talents to.
no, but it's a nationals meet in St. Louis, end of October. If you got the clues, good for you. If you didn't get the clues, well, I get it because
Yeah, they were too complex.
yeah.
Too
I
complex.
mean, two of them are like layups, so like the Nelly clue and the arch, but like past that it was like, what? Like,
St. Louis. I think
yes,
quite a few Alabamians are going.
yes. There's a few I've already seen on the rosters. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. I haven't decided if I'm making the trip or not yet. I want to, but it depends on how things are going.
I think you got what 2 or 3 already in it.
Yeah.
I think 2 at least. Yeah.
Yeah. My problem is I'll be in deep in the shit, so to speak. Like
Hey, just
difficult.
hire somebody, get them a headset with earbuds, and just.
I mean, I have a lot of friends that are going to be there, so I think we'll be able to make it work. I hope
Yeah.
to go though, but knowing my luck, that's going to be like literally a midterm,
Midterms.
the day of,
Right.
and then the Monday after. So it's like I really can't go. So we'll see. We'll see. I really want to go. I think it's going to be a fun competition. I've never been to St. Louis, so that would be cool. And I think it's going to be very competitive.
Right. Oh, the day I'm on is the men's 110 day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like all the crazy numbered
Yeah.
the Zeus guy's gonna be there, and a few more.
Yeah.
I'll probably
I
say
did.
my last, but I mean, yeah.
That's how I felt. I did IPL North Americans, which was a regional comp,
Right.
and like the top 242 got like a 1960 total or something, and I was like, "What am I even doing here? This doesn't make any sense."
Definitely the
But yeah,
12.
yeah,
1200, yeah.
yeah. Good. St. Louis. I think everyone will be able to watch at the least.
Yes.
Not sure if everyone will be able to go, but everyone will be able to watch. That'd be cool.
I'll try to keep the arch too. Like,
yeah, jump. Make sure you jump before your deadlifts. You can do your kick on squat, but you'll have to jump before deadlifts. Hey, I did it once and it felt pretty good. This is my best deadlift ever. So, has been our first episode back. An hour, as in me, Carson, and Josh. The other two not here right now, but we had Zach on with us. Had a good time, and that's been your Friday night at the bar.